Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Ramblings of a Grumpy Old Man. So, yesterday I posted a video on abortion and women's rights, and apparently not as many people were interested in that as they were on my video on gun rights. So, that tells me a lot about the American people and where we've come. So, after I posted it, I went in and edited that I was going to be doing a pushback on the Life, Liberty, and Levin show on Fox News Saturday night. And woke up this morning and didn't exactly know how I was going to make this video happen. So I looked into a lot of things, and as many of you know, I'm doing this on a shoestring budget. So kind of had to get creative. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to post the opening monologue of Life, Liberty, and Levin. And I want you to listen to the things that he says. Now, I have stated in previous videos that the American media, both sides, cherry pick their sound bites. So, what I propose that I'm going to do today is, in the video that you're going to see of the opening monologue of Mr. Levin, if you've never listened to this guy, he's just full of hatred and lies and all kinds of just foul things. So, I'm going to post his video of what he said on his show Saturday night. And then I have gone and found the references that he is referring to. And I took those videos. What's going to be different in this is media cherry picks the sound bites they want, like I said, to fit their narrative. So why don't we just cut through all the crap and put the information out the way it was stated? Pretty simple. For example, one of the videos that you're going to see is about the Unite the Right rally in Charlottesville, Virginia. I live in Virginia. I live, well, in 2017 when this happened, I lived very close to Charlottesville. I was not at the Unite the Right. I wasn't on either side. Wasn't there. But we were watching it where I was, and none of us could really believe what we were seeing. Now, I've said many times that I travel in a lot of different circles. So some of the people that were where I was on one side of this argument, and then there were the rest of the people with common sense. So This is going to take a while for me to get done. So let's see how long, and I may get it posted tonight. It may have to wait until tomorrow, but I'm going to try very hard to get this done tonight. So without any further ado, I'm going to present to you now the opening monologue to the Life, Liberty, and Levin show from Saturday night. Thank you.
Life, Liberty, and Levin Saturday. Welcome, two great guests. We have Peter Hegseth and Charles Payne. We'll get to them in a moment. But before we get to them, the campaign that Kamala Harris and her media are running is the most diabolical campaign in modern American history. Flooding the zone with hundreds of millions of dollars in paid ads and propaganda. Very limited availability. For obvious reasons, you saw Kamala Harris with Oprah. Some of you, I saw clips. I didn't have the stomach to watch the whole thing. She could barely get through that.
Let's come together with the character that we are so proud of about who we are, which is we are an optimistic people. We are an optimistic people. Americans, by character, are people who have dreams and ambitions and aspirations. We believe in what is possible. We believe in what can be. And we believe in fighting for that. That's how we came into being, because the people before us understood that one of the greatest expressions for the love of our country, one of the greatest expressions of patriotism, is to fight for the ideals of who we are.
Okay, just to pause here for a second. I don't think that there is anybody watching this that would disagree with anything that Kamala Harris just said. I may be wrong, but I really believe that.
Ladies and gentlemen, does she want to be president of the United States? Well, there are other things you're supposed to do. Now, so far, we hear things like she wants everyone to have an opportunity economy. What does that mean?
What does that mean? Well, in my opinion, that means an economy where everyone, depending on or regardless of class or financial stature, has the opportunity to excel instead of being stuck in financial burden for their entire lives. Maybe have a chance, Mr. Levin, to actually own a house.
She says she believes in democracy. Stalin said he believed in democracy. So what does she mean?
What does she mean in believing in democracy? Number one, I can't believe you just asked that question. But then again, I assume, because I don't watch your show, because all you do is spew hateful rhetoric, that you are probably a defender of the people that attacked our Capitol on January 6th, and the man that told those people, or let me back up. Let me check that, because he did not say, go storm the Capitol in so many words. He did say he was going to be there and then wasn't. But he also tried to get fake electors to overturn an election and do away with the Constitution. To me, if that is not trying to undermine democracy, I don't know what is.
The future. She believes in the future. Well, the future is 1 second from now. Don't we all believe in the future? So what does that mean?
All right, I'm going to give you that one. Even though your explanation of it is just asinine. What you said is not a lie, but the people that listen to her believe in future generations, not 1 second from now. So I'll give you that one, only because it wasn't technically a lie.
She wants us to turn the page. Turn the page on what?
Turn the page on old ideals, career politicians, people that are stuck in 1950s, 60s, 70s, to your point, 80s, when Reagan was president, politics, and basically, the hateful rhetoric that the candidate that you support has been spewing to the American people.
I'm going to turn the page. It's on her. But turn the page. New generation of leadership. What does that mean?
All right, so far, are you people listening to what this man's saying? New generation of leadership? What does that mean? Well, let's see. Most of our politicians are of an older generation, and it is time for us as an American people to get younger politicians into office that have ideals that fit our ideals, not somebody that is stuck running the same old playbook every year.
We don't pick leaders by age. We pick leaders by substance. So this entire campaign, that is Kamala Harris's campaign, is a fraud. It's a phony. It's a fake with her help in the media. You have vague phrasing, talking about something without actually directly saying anything.
All right. Now, I told you guys I play this fair. I am cutting this clip after every question so that I can give him an answer. But if you go and you watch this clip and you only watch his portions, you will see that I am not editing anything he has said. So there's a whole lot right there in just what he said. He is basically accusing Kamala Harris of not directly answering a question. I'm going to give you that one because during the debate, she avoided questions. She has avoided, except in a few softball interviews, has avoided answering direct questions. Anytime she was asked a question during the debate, she would go to, well, I was raised in a middle class family. Okay, we know that. Get some new material. However, I think that I just cleared that up by saying she's a politician, because there's not a politician out there that answers a direct question because they don't want to be held accountable if it comes back to bite them.
In order to hide your real beliefs, thoughts, values, and potential actions. You don't want to be pinned down. You don't want to be defined. So you're an empty pantsuit. So people can pour whatever they want to into you and to vote for you based on what they project upon you.
So let's respond to that. During the debate, and any time that former President Trump has been asked a direct question, he has avoided it too. So I guess that means that he is also an empty pantsuit. Yes, pun intended.
Political manipulation is what this used to be called. It's done in totalitarian regimes, various autocratic regimes. That's how it works. She's not going to lay out her agenda even though many of us know what the agenda already is.
So, yeah, we already know what Trump's agenda is too. Project 2025. Read it.
And part of this element of propaganda requires deception, hiding the truth, deception.
Okay, so now for this one, deception, propaganda. I'm going to do what a lot of people do in the media. I'm going to play the entire clip later in this video because I've got a good place for it. But right now, I'm going to play for you a clip that Vice President candidate J.D. Vance said to Dana Bash on CNN in a live interview. Listen to what he says.
You, again, started this in part by saying that, at which Donald Trump repeated on the debate stage, that, and he didn't say anything about the policies that you're talking about. He just said Haitians are eating dogs and cats. Can you affirmatively say now that that is a rumor that has no basis with evidence?
Dana, the evidence is the firsthand account of my constituents who are telling me that this happened. And by the way, I've been trying to talk about the problems in Springfield for months, and the American media ignored it. There was a congressional hearing just last week of angel moms who lost children because Kamala Harris let criminal migrants into this country who then murdered their children. The American media totally ignored this stuff until Donald Trump and I started talking about cat memes. If I have to,
but it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dana, because you guys are completely letting Kamala Harris coast.
So did you catch it? When J.D. Vance says, if I have to create stories, then that's what I'm going to do. I believe, Mr. Levin, that is the direct definition of propaganda.
Causing someone to accept as true or valid what is false and invalid. You could see through that debate with Donald Trump, she just kept lying about his position on abortion.
Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. In over 20 states, there are Trump abortion bans. If Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages.
He told us who he was.
Should abortion be punished? There has to be some form of punishment.
Then he showed us.
For 54 years, they were trying to get Roe v. Wade terminated, and I did it, and I'm proud to have done it.
Now Donald Trump wants to go further with plans to restrict birth control, ban abortion nationwide, even monitor women's pregnancies. We know who Donald Trump is.
Again, with Project 2025, I notice that Mr. Levin never mentions Project 2025 because he doesn't want to talk about that little secret. So Donald Trump has praised himself for putting in the 3 Supreme Court justices that were instrumental in overturning Roe versus Wade.
Lying about Charlottesville.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side.
I think there's blame on both sides, and I have no doubt about it, and you don't have any doubt about it either. And if you reported it accurately, you would say.
Neo-Nazis started this. They showed up in Charlottesville to protest.
Excuse me, they didn't put themselves down as neo, and you had some very bad people in that group. But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
So there you have it, Mr. Levin. Where's the lie? His words, the night it happened, in New York, Please, contact me. Let me know where the lie was.
Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So for everyone watching who remembers what January 6th was, I say we don't have to go back.
I'm not even going to get started on January 6th. That's a whole video in itself. Just know that it's not going to be pleasant.
Lying about the 2025 project.
What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again.
Why everybody is denying Project 2025, my guess is because it wasn't supposed to get out to the people, but somebody screwed up, and now nobody wants to admit it because they know it's just a guideline for an authoritarian dictatorship government.
Federalists counted 25 lies. A gave up after 20. Breitbart came up with 21 lies. She just lied and lied and lied and lied. And this is intended to create a projection, a non-reality. And that's what she does. It's deception, to cause somebody to believe something that's not true.
You mean like Donald Trump saying in the debate about January 6th, I was just there to make a speech.
And they do this in order to protect their agenda, to protect their campaign, and to promote themselves at the harm of others. That is, at the harm of Donald Trump. She put words in his mouth. She's still doing it. She's still lying about it.
Somebody needs to put words in his mouth. He complained and that Joe Biden need a cognitive test, and I might agree with that one. However, somebody needs to put words in his mouth because he can't string a coherent sentence together without sticking his own foot in his mouth.
In purposes to get an advantage, in this case, an electoral advantage. We call this propaganda. Propaganda has been used for God knows how long, but it became almost scientific about 100 years ago in a book called Propaganda by a man by the name of Bernays. And Bernays was widely read by early Democrat progressives in the 1900s. He was widely read by dictators and genocidal maniacs. In fact, he was widely read by Adolf Hitler. Not that this is Hitler, you get the point. Propaganda, repetition, changing the language. The key to propaganda involves the media. Pseudo-events. Pseudo-events, that is, non-news stories that are created as news stories, treated as news stories, and have a 2, 3, 4 day shelf life as a news story, while real news stories are ignored, while real facts, while real issues that affect the common person, they're dismissed. You can see this now.
If I have to,
But it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dan.
Pseudo-events, pseudo-news. So what does this mean? What this means is that the campaign is spending money, and the campaign is using Kamala Harris to push falsities, nonsense, shiny objects for you to chase. The things that affect your lives they don't want to talk about: food, security, crime, the border, gasoline prices, what your children are taught in school. Those are non-issues. Now, to you, they're everyday issues.
If I have to,
But it wasn't just a meme,
create stories so that the American media actually pays attention to the suffering of the American people, then that's what I'm going to do, Dan.
But to the manipulators, to these masterminds, these are non-issues. They decide what the issues are. So we call these hoaxes. Remember Trump talking about the Russian hoax? We call these illusions. These are hoaxes. These are illusions aimed at avoiding the real problems because they have ideas, they have belief systems, but they know you will reject them.
So just a yes or no, you still do not have a plan?
I have concepts of a plan.
Give you a perfect example. See that? That's the front page of the Drudge Report, the web page of the Drudge Report. That's been hanging up there last week for a few days. It's caught everybody's attention. It's become a big issue. And so there you have Donald Trump, where they hope, the illusion, they hope they're projecting Donald Trump with a Hitler salute, wearing his red hat. Trump, blame the Jews if I lose. And this is based in part on this group, Mediaite, that took a piece of the clip of the president's speech to a large group of Jewish supporters in Washington, D.C., where I had family members attending. I could not attend, but I had family members attending. It was a fantastic speech. It was a temperate speech. It was a factual speech. It was an exciting speech.
In my opinion, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with a loss. If I'm at 40%, if I'm at 4, think of it, that means 60% are voting for Kamala.
So again, Mr. Levin, trying to portray this as another lie put out by the Harris campaign, please tell us, where's the lie? The man just said, if the Jewish people don't vote, then the loss of the election will be on them. And while you're at it, explain to me where the excitement is.
And the people left there, the vast majority of whom were Jews, very excited and very happy to have met the president and hear what he said. But this is what they turned it into. Adolf Hitler. Blame the Jews if I lose. What Trump was saying was, I'm trying to do the very best I can to appeal to the Jewish community for its votes. And he was saying also that here's my record as applies to the Jewish community. Just as Kamala Harris goes in front of the Islamist community, talks about her record, or goes in front of other communities and talks about her record, Donald Trump has a record he is proud of and he should be proud of when it comes to the state of Israel and Jews, as well as a record in so many other areas that he's proud of and he should be proud of. And he's talking about the substance. He's talking about his record. And he says, in so many words, I saw a poll that I got 29% of the Jewish vote in 2020, 26% in 2016, that I have about 40% of the support in the Jewish community. I better get 60% of the vote, or I may not be able to win in these, in some of these blue states. And, I could blame you folks for that. It was tongue in cheek. It was tongue in cheek.
So we all just listened to the interview. There's no voice inflection. There's no change in tone. There's no laughter. So please, what's tongue-in-cheek about it? If that's tongue-in-cheek, then the former president is the worst comedian in history.
Everybody there knew it. And so they do this, like they did with Charlottesville.
So we've already talked about Charlottesville earlier in this video, and we've already disputed all of that. All I have to say on this mentioning of Charlottesville to Mr. Levin is, out of respect to the woman that died and the people that were injured, for somebody that wasn't even there, you probably need to keep Charlottesville out of your thoughts and your mouth.
Like they do with everything else that comes out of Donald Trump's mouth. And I want to remind you that, again, I guess it was a week from tomorrow, Donald Trump faced another assassination attempt. That's 2, because of stuff like this.
Okay, I'm going to give him this one because I think the political rhetoric on both sides needs to be turned down. I don't believe that anybody needs to have an attempt on their life for their political views. These people are applying for a job. They shouldn't have to worry about being shot. On that note, I also believe that it is fair to mention that the gentleman just referred to in the second assassination attempt, even though he never got off a shot, it was planned, and it has come out since this that was his ultimate goal So I will back up and say that, yes, he did intend to assassinate President Trump. But I think it's also fair to mention that the man also voted for Donald Trump in 2016 and 2020.
Because when you dehumanize Donald Trump, you create a hero mentality among sick people that maybe they ought to do something about it. Less than a week after they stopped the second assassination attempt, this is the Drudge Report, based on Mediaite, and now we have Jewish organizations, check that, liberal Democrat Jewish organizations condemning what Donald Trump said.
In my opinion, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with the loss.
Condemning Donald Trump, saying he sounds like Hitler.
In my opinion, the Jewish people would have a lot to do with the loss.
Like it's the Third Reich all over again. That's the problem we have in this country today. These are not real issues. These are phony issues. Even more than phony issues, they attempt to dehumanize one of the candidates, Donald Trump. Only one, Donald Trump.
In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there.
Okay, I'm confused. Who's dehumanizing who?
And Kamala Harris, the media, and the Democrat Party are counting on all this. They're counting on it so she can squeeze her way into the Oval Office. And then one day, the people who fall for this, these lies, and unfortunately, people have fallen for stuff like this for hundreds of years, thousands of years, they'll wake up and say, oh my God, what did we do?
Well, you're right on that one. Oh my God, what did we do? We elected a sane, coherent individual who is going to take this country into the future, not a mentally depleted, elderly individual that wants to live in the past.
We elect somebody president of the United States who's wholly unqualified, who didn't reveal herself, who turns out to be a Marxist Islamist.
And so again, who is dehumanizing who? Who is spewing political rhetoric?
Who failed as vice president. Oh my God, what did we do? And you can thank the Drudge Report, Mediaite, elements of the media, these left-wing groups, left-wing ethnic groups, but most of all, you can thank the Democrat Party and their ideologues, because these are the campaigns they now run, filled with lies and deception and illusions.
Okay, so a whole lot there to unpack, but let's just say, for the sake of argument, that both political parties spew lies and rhetoric in their campaign. It's what's been happening for hundreds of years. I will also say that I'm glad to see that Fox News, where this show airs, did just have to admit in court that they were not a actual news organization, that they were for entertainment purposes. So, in closing, everything this man spews on his show is lies and hate. And the people at Fox News and a lot of people that are probably watching this video follow Fox News. Maybe let's get our heads out of the sand and start looking for more reliable news organizations. So this has been my ramblings, and I don't know that I'll do this again because this has actually taken a lot longer than I thought it would because of all of the fact checking that I had to do to dispute everything, as you've just seen, that this man says. So please, please go out, do your research, decide what candidate you want to vote for, and vote for that person. Hopefully, this has helped you to see how Fox News has been portraying Donald Trump as the end-all be-all saint and Kamala Harris as the devil. So vote Harris, Walz, 2024, and Dixon for Congress, 2026. Thank you.